Yeah.
If you undo these and pull it off, we could probably bend it right back into.
Check out these tires, Mary.
Well, they're in good shape.
They're in great shape. Tires are good. The frame doesn't have rust on it.
Nice big fuel tank.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a little rust in the corner, but that's no big deal.
For what we got to use it for, the front tires are good. Let me show you what's really cool though. Little cat motor. I think it's a 3306. It has a reman sticker on it somewhere, where it was a certified Caterpillar reman motor 40,000 miles ago. You know, turbo, I don't know, it's like 3 1/4. Didn't spend a lot of money on this truck. I needed a sight truck. The oil looks good, the water looks good. Fires right up. The springs are good. The frame is good. You know, it's just gonna spend its time going back and forth up the field. I'm not going to put it on the road. And the dump box is not bad, but I don't know if you can see off in the distance, you have that 490D that also followed me home a while back. But we have a lot of work to do on the farm, so I guess the reason I'm saying this is because I'm going to have to sort of shift gears, no pun intended. It's really not in bad shape for what it is from New York State. And it's funny because I was actually going to buy a gas Chevy, you know. I really had the money and I was ready to go. And this thing popped up and I said, you know something, I really need to look at it. I opened up the cab, looked in, and you know what this reminds me of? "15 years ago, when I first started working for Highway, one of the trucks I drove was an old Volvo. And it sounded just like this. So when it came time to decide what to do, you know, I really didn't have to think too awful hard about it. I went and bought that truck, and that came home with me. And it's going to be a sight truck on the farm. But it's going to make me remember some of the times at Highway. And it's kind of like a snowplow, just a little bit smaller. You know, it's a single axe versus a tandem. But it makes the same kind of noises. It doesn't make any bad noises. And it's got airbag rear suspension, which, you know, Maybe I prefer to have spring, but you know something? The first time I have to replace something, I'm going to like that airbag suspension is my guess. But, I mean, as compared to the gas trucks I've been looking at, this is just a complete level above in terms of both capability, tires, lack of rust. Wow, I can't believe I ended up with this stupid truck. So this is a new addition to the channel. I know it doesn't make two-stroke sounds, but you're going to hear a lot of this truck because it has a lot of work to do this year. And then we'll decide what to do with it afterwards. Maybe we start doing some work on the side, and chainsaws have to wait their turn, I'm afraid. This saw right here is a bit of history for me. This was my first kind of a Frankensaw concept, and I had coined that phrase building up old Homelite C5, C7, C9s, where I was blending a bunch of parts together, and I call it the Frankensaw. And the phrase took hold. There was a while there where everybody was calling everything a Frankensaw. They're coming up with this crazy stuff. The concept behind this saw was to take the oldest set of parts and bring it up to the latest possible specification. So this is like a, I can't remember, it's a 78 or so, 61, you know, it had some differences in the cover. I'd gone through the differences on another video, but there was a significant number of changes. From the ignition being a two-piece ignition to being a one-piece ignition, just on and on and on. But I was enjoying taking these saws from that older specification and bringing them up to 272 or 268 specifications. And that's what this is. This is a 1978 or so Husqvarna model 61 Rancher, the original Ranchers, white top. And I had to hack the cover up and make some other changes in order to blend a 272 top end to that set of cases. And wrap it with this set of plastic. See the spark plug popping up and through? And I had the vent over here in order to get the fins some room, just a bunch of stuff. I ran this saw for a couple years, had a lot of fun with it. I think it showed up as a cameo in one of the videos. But Bob and I were sort of like going through this little mini revolution about, instead of doing all the saws that everybody else wants us to do, said companies or driven by fads, let's go run the saws we want to run. And this is one that I've wanted to get back to for a long time. So I'm going to stick it together and I'm going to throw it in the truck, and I'm going to retire some saws that I thought I was going to run, but I'm going to retire them instead and go back to running the saws I really want to run. And that's going to include this Model 61, my 925 Homelite, a 920 John thread, and I dug out an old 455 John thread that I've had for a while as well. And those are the saws I really want to run. I know it sounds goofy. All this new stuff is so cool. But it's a blend of fun, nostalgia, as well as work. I mean, that's what makes it fun, is if you can turn the work into something that you really want to do. And part of that's running saws that you want to run. And there's some guys who want the newest, latest, greatest, fastest, and all that. I get it. There's nothing wrong with that. When I was hurt, I had to dip into the modern saw thing. That's why the Ultimate Old Man saw came to be, and because I needed something that I could actually handle that would actually get some work done, so I went for lighter and all that. Okay, I'm feeling better. You know, the hip is coming around good, and feeling better about life. Like I said, Exhibit A. It's just a cool, old, goofy saw, and it's one that I had put together, so there's some ownership in it. It's remarkably capable. It's a honest to goodness 70cc machine, you know, and runs like a 70cc machine should. So it'll cut some wood, no doubt. Kind of in the spirit of running the saws that I want to run means that some of the project saws that I was working on that are just simply project saws are going to have to go down the road because I don't have time. This saw right here falls into that category. I've run it, put some time on it. I know what it is. I was able to sort some of its little idiosyncrasies out. One of the things I did was put an OEM chain brake handle on it, and it added a little bit of distance here so I wasn't kicking the chain brake on, which was actually one of the things that was annoying me. I do have to say, now after a period of time running the saw, it's running a lot better now. The first couple of tanks, this thing was really a pain in the neck. It kept shutting off and was really finicky, and you know, the last couple of times I ran it, I actually had some cameo time in the video. It ran fine. It ran good. I kind of found a balance between the air screw and the low speed adjustment screw to where it idles. Starts pretty easily. It'll take 5 pulls, but you know, it still starts. So I'm not as aggravated with this saw as I was when I first got it, okay? But there's still some things about this particular saw that I'm not pleased with. Not the least of which is the finicky carburetor, the plastic carb brace. While I haven't broke this tank, it's got sort of that blocky feel I was pointing out before. But, you know, as I had resigned myself when I decided to just run the saw as it was, I can't honestly say they failed. You know, I didn't do anything to really stress them, but I've actually got a fair amount of time on that saw. And there it is, and it keeps running. So, from the perspective of will it cut firewood? Well, hell yeah. So I really can't point to anything that I think is going to fail. And as far as a saw for like the $250 or so it costs to get, I really can't come up with anything wrong. As a concept, it works. So, whereas when I first got it, it just frustrated the heck out of me. Just working with it over time and messing around with the carburetor and tweaking it and kind of finding that blend between air screw and low speed began to get to the point where it was actually fairly decent. So going down the road for now, but we're leaving on a positive note because the last couple times I ran it, it ran pretty well. How's that? So as far as doing a complete review, I'm not going to do a review on this saw until a year goes by, and then we'll go back and look at it a whole lot more carefully, like we did with the 660s. And hopefully a year from now, where it's going is going to get used, and we'll be able to look back over the year and say, yeah, these things survived or they didn't, and what did we have to do to make it useful for that period of time. The things I like about this saw, it's got decent power, no doubt, just the way it comes. It has the original edition 372 feel. I like that. It's relatively light for a 70cc saws compared to what's on the market and what came after the 372s, like the X-Torques or Pigs. Cover's not bad. I haven't bent the handle. The pull start hasn't failed. It's had a few opportunities to do so and hasn't failed. The plastic has not cracked, and I've run it in some very, very cold temperatures. So there's a lot to be positive about this saw. It's not all negative. So those first couple of videos were just my reacting to the feel of it because of these handles, because I had put one of those in my first Huzzle 372 and I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. Does that mean it doesn't work? No, it just means I prefer the other handle that Huzzle sells as compared to this one. That's really all it means. But yeah, for what it is, for the money spent, I can't argue about this saw. It does a good, decent job. I probably ought to bring the truck over to the cement pad here. A lot of this stuff is just going to go right to scrap. You know, that mower deck and the auger and stuff like that. That box scraper, I don't need them anymore. But this is the machine that's going to be loading that dump truck as we work our way through building the next shop. And it's actually not in bad shape. Fired it right up in the main pins. They're tight. The bucket's a little bit sloppy, but that's to be expected. But the motor, you know, oil stays in the oil and the water stays in the water. They don't mix. And this is another addition to the channel.